This is Elise reporting to you live from News Channel 12. I'm currently standing outside the Supreme Courtroom where the court case McCulloch versus Maryland is being held. Abby is in the studio right now. Abby, what do you know about this court case?
Well, Elise, the state of Maryland passed legislation to impose taxes on the Second National Bank of the United States. When James McCulloch, the cashier of the Second National Bank, refused to pay the tax, the state of Maryland sued him. That's all the information we have up to date, so back to you, Elise.
The case has just begun. Let's take a look at what's going on inside the courtroom. All rise for the Honorable Judge Marshall.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please take your seats.
This case will determine the constitutionality of federal institutions.
Well then, if you can tax federal banks, why not everything else?
Order, order. Maryland, state your case.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, the state has authority to tax everything inside its borders, including federal banks. The Constitution does not specifically state that the federal government has the power to incorporate a national bank. The 10th Amendment is the state's reserved powers not delegated by the government.
Thank you. McCulloch, state your case.
Your Honor, although the Second National Bank of the United States is not outlined specifically in the unenumerated powers of the Constitution, the national government has implied powers that are necessary to carry out the enumerated powers.
I've come to my decision that Congress does have the power to incorporate a national bank. Also, Maryland cannot tax the national government institutions. Congress possesses unspecified powers not outlined in the Constitution. This case is now adjourned.
Elise is interviewing the main people of this case, Judge, Maryland, and McCulloch. I know the crew of News Channel 12 are very excited to hear their opinions, and I'm sure our viewers are too. News Channel 12 is famous for its coverage of debates. Tune in next episode to get live coverage of Gibbons versus Ogden.
Mr. James, what do you have to say about the Supreme Court's decision?
The government is going to become too tyrannical over the states if they don't grant the states any power.
Thank you.
Mark my words.
McCulloch, do you think things will run more smoothly now that the state of Maryland cannot tax federal institutions?
Yes, the national government shouldn't be taxed by state laws.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Judge! What influenced your decision on the court case McCulloch versus Maryland?
I've come to the conclusion that the federal government can have more powers over the state's government without becoming tyrannical.
What impact do you think this will have on state revenues?
Although the states won't make money off this revenue, I feel that the states will find more ways to make revenue.
Thank you, Judge. So, Abby, what information did you receive from this court case?
Thank you, Elise, for your excellent reporting. The main conflicts going into the case were, does Congress have the power to incorporate a federal bank, and does Maryland have the power to tax an institution created by Congress? With John James representing Maryland and McCulloch representing the federal bank, Judge John Marshall, a Federalist, ruled that Congress does have the power to establish a national bank, and Maryland does not have the power to tax a federal institution. And that concludes the information we have on this case.
Excuse me, ma'am. What is your opinion over the outcome of the court case McCulloch versus Maryland?
Well, as a Democratic Republican, I think that this ruling will lead to corruption and tyrannical movement in the national government. It just reminds me of Parliament.
I thank you for your time and opinion. Ma'am! Being a Federalist, what is your outlook on the court case McCulloch versus Maryland?
I think that this is definitely going to be beneficial to the national government. I feel that John Marshall made a great decision, and he's so dreamy.
Okay, thank you. This concludes the court case, McCulloch versus Maryland. Thank you for watching. This is News Channel 12.